All right, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to our first Demo Tuesday of 2024. Happy New Year. My name is Mike. As everyone knows, I have a special guest with me today. Let me introduce you to Sean. Sean, how's it going?
Oh, it's going great, dude. It's great 2024 here in sunny California.
Yes, sunny California. That's yeah. All right. So, before we get started in talking about STIGs, which admittedly I really know nothing about, that's why I have the man of the hour here. So, want to start something new with anytime I have somebody on with me on Demo Tuesday, I'm going to ask them a controversial question. So, Sean, what, in your opinion, is your favorite tech movie?
Ooh, favorite tech movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have to say, like, the old school Hackers movie.
Ah, yes,
yes. That was what initially got me into IT.
100%.
Because you got to see them jump on the computer, and they were traveling the Matrix and doing all this really cool stuff, looking for that garbage file.
And the Gibson.
And that was
yeah. So I was hoping you were going to say that and not like Swordfish or something like that, because then we'd have a problem. All right. So let's talk about STIGs. So, Sean, what is a STIG and why do people care about them?
So STIGs are really big in the federal space because they're the guidelines that DISA, the Defense Information Systems Agency, sets for how people can connect to the DoD infrastructure.
Okay.
So be it your Air Force or your Navy or your federal civilian agency, if you want to connect and use any of their circuits, any of their WAN or LAN or anything like that, you have to follow their guidelines.
Okay.
So what they do is they put out a STIG, which stands for Security Technical Implementation Guideline, and it's just a set of rules. And they'll come out and then they'll inspect on these rules every 5 years, every year, surprise spot inspections.
Okay.
And they're based off of like CVEs, industry best practices, and they release these really quarterly.
Okay.
So you'll get a refresh where, the previous quarter they said you had to have this, but the next quarter it may be gone. So it may be something that the industry has done away with, like an old technology, and it's just not relevant anymore.
Okay.
But sometimes it gets stuck in there, and these are the minimums that we need you to meet to connect to our network.
Gotcha. So I want to back up a little bit. So this is mainly focused around federal, right?
Yes, sir.
If a enterprise that does work with the federal government and they need to connect into a federal network, do they also have to abide by the STIG rule?
Yes. So they'll get an authority to operate.
Okay.
And they have to go through like a CCRI, which is a cybersecurity readiness inspection.
Okay.
Well, they'll go through all these STIGs. Now, most people will get like a year advance notice saying, hey, you have a year till you get, to prep for this inspection. And what happens is, and I went through this quite a few times as a junior enlisted and a senior enlisted person was, hey, we have a CCRI in a year. What STIGs do we need to go through, and what do we want the commander to assume risk on?
Okay.
So I would spend months and months, looking through this stuff, and all of a sudden we're within 3 months of our CCRI. And the commander's like, where are we at? I'm like, pie charts and pretty graphs and saying, hey, we're only here. And it's like, okay, we got to ramp this up.
Okay.
So within the last month before we get to the actual inspection itself, I've got guys working 7 days a week, 12-hour days.
Oof.
Just, going into device to device because we really didn't have a really good way to kind of track the network and see what was going on. And then once the event was over, we didn't care. We passed.
Okay.
So we had another 5 years to breathe and not worry about it again. And that was where the beauty with Forward Networks came in because we didn't have to worry about that.
Gotcha.
So
before Forward and even to today, right? How do federal agencies or how do customers that have to do CCRI understand what STIGs they need to look at and all that good stuff?
That's a really good question. So what they'll do is they'll look at the STIG reports or STIGs out there and what's actually pertains to their network, what devices they have, what protocols are in, and then they go through that. Now, you can use a product called STIG Viewer, which is done by DISA, and I have a quick done. There we go. And this is only run on Windows, and I checked it again this morning to see, because they just released a newer one, STIG Viewer 3.0, which runs on Linux, but not on Mac. I don't understand.
Okay.
But this is what the operators now see. basically, these are all my STIGs right there in the middle for a certain service or a certain type of device. And I have to go through each one of those STIGs and go to each device that runs that and check and make sure that it meets that check text.
So this doesn't automatically check a device?
No, not at all.
There's hands-on keyboard doing
keyboards.
Wow.
So
okay.
There could be one, as I'll show here later, is enable secret 5.
Okay.
Now, if you've done any kind of work with Cisco, we know that the enable secret 5 is not a really good encryption. It's an encryption. It's out there. It's really good. It's good beginner, but we want to use 7 and 9. But if we just go by the STIG and it says 5, and that's the minimum we have to meet, I've got to touch every device in my enterprise.
Okay.
Now, as a network operator within the DoD, I had to check 1,000 devices on my unclassed side, maybe 750 to 2,000 plus devices on my high side, and then another 200 to 300 devices on my top secret side. So now I have to get people to go in there and just run this line of code. Granted, the line of code is only, takes 5 seconds to run, but you're doing that across all those devices once a year. And
the enable secret 5 is an easy one, right? Because that generally doesn't change. If you're doing things that constantly are changing and in motion, how would you, to go back in time to look at devices that you've, already cleared? It seems like that's a headache and a half.
Oh, it is. And that's the other thing, too, is we're human beings.
Yeah.
So, I could get you, hey, Mike, here's the new updated secret 5. Go out there and make sure all the devices are set. And what happens? You got through all the ones you knew about out there.
Yep.
But what about those 15 are out there that we don't have access to?
That's true.
And then we hit it up, and then all of a sudden we can't get into them. And now we're playing the rollback game of, I think it was this password. I think it was that password.
Maybe. Let me look at the back of the napkin.
Exactly.
And see.
The back napkin under the keyboard.
Yep. That new password book they sell on Amazon.
Exactly.
Yep. All right. So, how could Forward help us?
So, with Forward, it's really awesome now how we can do this. So, we can build the check within Forward, or there's the pre-built ones already that we do for Cisco and Juniper that can run through it. And it's easier now that we can customize these to say, hey, what is exactly in your network?
Okay.
Because I don't want to go off what the STIG says. I want to go off what your engineer says.
Okay.
Because the STIGs are just the minimum of what you need to meet.
Okay.
And some, like with Enable Secret 5, most engineers now will go to Enable Secret 7 or Enable Secret 9. And that's what we really want to check for. Are you meeting that minimum or exceeding that minimum?
All right. So let's jump in and let's see.
So this is my own little personal lab that I had built out for play and all that good stuff. But just to test out some of the things that we did on what we can do on platform. If I can scroll up, there we go.
I do the inverse. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. So here we have, just like you would normally see in a STIG. What is the intent of the STIG? A quick description of it. All the rules of versioning and all that good stuff for it. But now we come down to the meat and potatoes of it. Like, hey, what exactly am I looking for? And this is that beauty of setting your script. My secret variable right here, my variable that says secret, this is what's supposed to be in all my devices.
Okay.
Excuse me. And then from there, I'm going to look at all my devices. I'm going to see what's out there for secret, if they're all a match. And then if there's a violation out there, if it doesn't match, hey, tell me what's different. And this is what this will do is this will tell the operators, hey, if there is an issue, this is where I need to concentrate now. Now I don't have to have 5 operators spend 7 days a week, 12-hour days, go out there and find that stuff. We can just concentrate on that stuff and actually start prioritizing what we need to do.
Awesome. And these can be both run on demand, or we can add them to our verification platform so when new devices come online, they're automatically checked.
They're automatically checked, exactly. So with every snapshot, we can sit here and check all those configuration changes, all those STIG changes, making sure we have the STIGs that we need.
Oh, that's awesome.
So again, not only are we we're preparing for a CCRI, now we're doing a continuous CCRI and checking those STIGs every time we take the platform. So now when
you
when
saw
come
the
to,
reflection
I
in
know,
the glasses,
like,
right?
oh no! So now when Commander Mike comes down and says, hey, we have a CCRI, we're going to have it in a year, where do we stand today? We can show you definitively where we stand today, and these are the places we need to work on. So I can now go to my leadership can come down to me and say, hey, this is where we guys need to start focusing on. The commander's going to POAM this stuff, or he's going to take responsibility for this, but this is the big stuff we need to go after.
All right, so let's spot check. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's see what we got.
So we're looking for enable secret 9 for ours, and if I run, I have 13 devices, and I have 9 failures right now. Let me move this out of the way and bring this up. So I have it on router 1B, and it's going to tell me, hey, I'm missing this line.
Okay.
So right there, I know I can go right into that device, or I can create an automated script that goes through and does this change for me and looks at it and make that change for me. And then it'll tell me, hey, here's the IP address, that management IP address, so you can actually SSH into it as needed.
Here, I noticed the device name is, it looks like a URL. If you click that, will it show you the relevant configuration that it's comparing it against?
Yeah, so what we'll do is let's click on this and find out where we can go. And it's going to bring us up to this the device card. We can actually look in the configuration and say, hey, where is that username at? So we'll just type in forward, because that's one of the things I loved about this platform is how easy it was now to search through the config. It wasn't like a
complex regex trying to go through 17 different configuration files and hope that you did term on 0 and got everything. Yeah.
But not just that, but like how many other platforms did you have to learn?
Oh, geez. Yep.
You had to look through Cisco, and then you got PAs in there.
Well, even like in the Cisco product line, ASA. Yeah.
Just looking at NXOS versus iOS.
Yep.
Yeah, it was just crazy. But now I can see here in my configuration where exactly it is in my configuration, and that's true and correct. Hey, that's what's awesome in my configuration today.
That's powerful.
It is very powerful.
That is very powerful.
So that's the beauty behind this behind the platform from when I was a customer was I can now do a continuous inspection on myself, making sure that all the STIGs were right to what me and my engineers agreed on, and that we were always flowing in that state.
And not taking weeks, days, months, on a high side, maybe an hour or so.
Yep. So again, it was saving time, it was saving man hours, and we weren't having to bring in, extra contractors, or we're saying, hey, site A, we're going to go to bed now, for the next 12 hours. You guys pick up the slack from here, and then they would go ahead and start doing it.
That's good stuff.
So, yeah, I mean, that was the thing about it. And the other thing, too, is you'd have to go back through to the STIG viewer, if we can bring that up real quick.
Hold on. Let's do it.
Yep, we're good. Everything that we had found in forward networks, we would manually have to transcribe that back into STIG viewer. Here's the device. Here's the issue. It did not pass. And so, again, STIG viewer, it's really good to get that information, but it was such a manual process. And you're doing every device, saying here's this, this, and this. Whereas with forward networks, we were doing that same information, but it was all automated in the background. We just wrote one simple check. It all put the relevant information there. It told us who was good, who was not good, and it gave us, if we wanted to pie chart that, put it in a dashboard, we could do that too and sit there and let that happen out there.
I mean, and I'm sure the audit trail feature of it too. Going back from snapshot to snapshot, if you had one that did look good, then you had one that all of a sudden started failing. Why?
Exactly. Why are we failing? So now we can start diffing the network at those 2 points in time and saying, hey, what happened? Oh, we forgot to roll the keys over there. So that also now brings us into like automation now. So a big proponent for me when I was still in was, can we automate STIGs away? And we found out when I was still in, when I was doing this, we started out with 5 non-disruptive STIGs, check and banner, making sure that the keys were right. And I think we caught, across 3 networks, 400 devices within 5 minutes using forward networks and some kind of automation orchestrator.
Wow.
And now talking to my team, still today, they've expanded that out to 50 STIGs on a nightly basis that they check across the network. So it doesn't matter who's putting a device on the network. They slap it in there. They say it's all good to go. It's going to get checked either way every night to make sure that something happens. Because
Wow.
we also get those junior guys, they say, I'm trying to save the world.
Yeah,
and 7's not high, and, 9's too high. We need to go down to 7. Like, okay.
Or you got that one guy who just forgot the username and
Yep,
password.
that's exactly it.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, really, in a nutshell, I mean, that's it with STIGs.
That's good stuff. So let's open it up to any questions. And while we wait for questions, since hackers, right? We talked about the Gibson, we talked about all that. What was your favorite scene in Hackers?
Oh, the favorite scene. I would say,
and you can't say Angelina Jolie.
Oh, that was the first one that came to mind. No. So I would say, like, at the end, when they're like, hack the planet, and they got everybody running around, and they're hooking their phones up, and they're doing all that fun stuff.
All right, I would tend to 100% agree with that. That was kind of what brought it home for me. It was like, from just seeing that whole thing and then getting to the end of it where, like you said, hack the planet, and then boom, it was great.
Oh, yeah, I love that.
All right, well, Sean, I'd like to thank you for your time. If you guys have any questions that we didn't get to, we will actually monitor the chat and look at them. If you're watching this in recorded land, if you want to ask a question, definitely ask a question. I look back at all these all the time, and if it's something I can't answer, Sean will definitely jump in and give you the information that you need. Sean, thank you for joining me.
No, thank you.
Again, thank you guys. Happy New Year.